2 minutes. Ah. 1 minute. Ah. 30. 10, 9, 8, 7. The Philippine General Hospital is calling for plasma donations from COVID-19 survivors, pending a vaccine and with yet no proven treatment. Scientists and doctors believe the antibodies of those who recovered could help save patients who are in critical condition. While the science on COVID continues to develop, people are also being reminded to be more mindful of the environment as everything impacts on diseases and on our health. What else can people and nations do to emerge from the current pandemic and to become a stronger, healthier world? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this special edition of The Chiefs, and with me from all over Metro Manila are Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star, Ed Lingao of One News, and News 5 Chief Lucy Cruz Valdez. Mga ka-quarantine, welcome back to The Chiefs.
Hindi ako kasama dun, ha?
Lakin ka eh.
Si Ami, nasa opisina pa tayo.
Sorry. Hinihintay po namin yung announcement kung matutuloy, ha?
Ayun, ang announcement.
Uy, hawak na raw niya. Hawak na
Hawak na,
recommendation.
Mika,
Yan.
paliwanag niyo kung sino yan.
Si President Duterte, sabi ni Senator Go. Although sabi ni spokesman Harry Roque, yun nga, si Senator Go ang nagsabi nun. So baka daw hindi rin matuloy tonight. Anyway, standby.
Ami, ganun pala.
Teka muna.
Akala ko
Layers
bunto
niya
ko na yun.
sinabi mo. Sinabi ni Harry
May
Roque
layering,
na
may
sinabi ni Senator Go na may sasabihin ang presidente.
Tonight. Oo, tonight. So naka-standby kami. Dahil it's Senator Go, syempre naman. Kaya lang, sabi ni spokesman Harry Roque, baka daw hindi matuloy. Kasi marami pa daw wini-way si presidente.
yan, naman ang
Saka-
yan naman pinag-uusapan natin the past few days. Talaga masalimuot at saka ang dami kailangan
Saka
pag-isipan.
as late as 6 p.m. kanina, nag-meeting daw yung IATF about this. So we don't know kung meron silang meron silang final recommendation at kung pag-iisipan pa ng Pangulo yung rekomendasyon.
Pero mukhang ang trend talaga, merong mga areas na baka medyo luwagan na, no? Saka baka medyo matuloy nga yung sa transport na medyo may mga patatakbuhin na dahil hirap na mga tao. Pero yung mga medyo matataas yung mga cases, mukhang baka lalo pang higpitan, yun ang problema. Ngayong gabi, hindi ba, we're watching Sampaloc na uumpisahan ni Mayor Isko.
Hard lockdown.
48 hours.
Hard lockdown, yes.
Oo, yun.
Yeah.
Yung binabantayan natin yun. Saka by the 24th, merong mga balak na mag 1 week total lockdown din. May mga lugar na ganun din. Saka ang Cebu nag-extend until
Yes, May 15.
Yeah.
Yes.
So medyo hindi pa tayo out of the woods, Medyo mahirap pa rin eh. Mahirap
And
pa.
there's a very big possibility they look at Metro Manila as one area or one region.
Yeah.
Kasi hindi mo mahihiwa-hiwalay talaga yung cities among each other. People live in one city and work in another.
Yeah.
At saka parang nakita nila na talaga daw may outbreak sa Metro Manila. So, I
Ganun
think
kasi
that's a
tayo yung
big
epicenter.
question mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, kahapon kausap natin si Mayor Lino Cayetano ng Taguig, and even he was saying, di ba, they would prefer na kung magkakaroon, kung ano man yung policy, it should go for all because as far as they're concerned, we really should treat Metro Manila as one community.
Yes.
Although yung
Right.
iba kasi, di ba, kapareho ni Valenzuela Mayor, sabi niya, sila nakahanda na kung ililift yung quarantine. Saka ang Taguig, medyo madali-dali din dahil mataas na yung mga testing capacity nila eh. Pero
Yeah.
magsusunod nga yan, epicenter tayo eh.
Yeah.
Yeah, tsaka may movement May movement between cities. So,
Yeah.
hindi mo maalis yung di ba? Yung transmission.
Yeah.
Malakas yun.
Kaya nga yan ang problema.
Oy, teka muna, makikichismis lang ako sa inyo. I just read it before we went on board right now. May konting reorganization ba sa IATF? Ito ba yung nakita ko na Carlo Nograles is no longer the spokesperson for the IATF?
So, sino na?
Ang spokesman is dalawa na lang. Si Harry Roque na lang and si
Berhere.
Harry Berhere for the Department of Health. Pero IATF pa rin si Carlo Nograles. But Harry will be speaking for Malacanang na.
Kaya nawala yung morning briefing si Carlo Nograles.
Mawawala.
Oo.
Kaya nahihirapan kami fill-upan yung morning slot. So,
May mga briefing si Secretary Dar on the food situation yun.
Yes.
Mga
Yeah,
hiwalay
okay.
tayo sa siguro yung ibang department may kanya-kanyang briefing. Pero yung general policy, IATF, si Harry Roque na.
No, but what was the thinking there? Because I personally think, I mean, I'm open to whatever it was, but I personally think Carlo Nograles was doing a good job as
Yes, he was.
spokesperson. So,
Yeah.
but what was the rationale as far as we understand it for this? They're just streamlining this, or is there anything more to that?
Yun ang hindi namin malaman. Baka si Ed may nalalaman, may mga naririnig kayo. Gucci.
would it have anything to do with these TikTok videos?
Hindi. Si Harry Roque. Si Harry Roque nag-TikTok yan eh.
Ano ba?
Nag-TikTok
Kaya
si
nga.
Harry Roque. So,
Baka mas magaling si Harry Roque mag-TikTok. Baka yun ang basihan.
Ay, teka muna. Speaking of spokesperson, ang guest natin ngayon, spokesperson ng Philippine General Hospital. Good evening. Kasama po natin si Dr. Jonas Del Rosario. Dr. Del Rosario, welcome to the Chiefs.
Magandang gabi sa inyo. Thank you for having me.
Good
Unang
evening.
Unang tanong, may TikTok ka ba?
Hindi, baka matanggal ka.
Wala pa po kaming TikTok.
Okay. Dr. Del Rosario, let's jump straight into it. Yung PGH, how are you doing? I mean, nung nag-umpisa and then PGH became officially a referral hospital. we know that there was some trepidation, certainly a lot of concerns about resources, about being equipped, about being ready. Weeks into this, kamusta po ang PGH?
We're going into the 4th week of being a COVID-19 referral center, and I can proudly say that we are holding up quite well. No, yung mga concerns namin noon when we were trying to prepare for about a week, nasagot naman. So we are not short of any equipment. We are well equipped. We have all the PPEs that we need. We're good for another 1 to 2 months. We have enough staff right now, although that's something that we always have to make sure of kasi ang pinakamahirap talaga na
Nawala. Ayan na naman.
Nawala yata. Ayan. Mukhang may TikTok nga.
Ayan na.
Ayan na siya.
Ayan na. Okay.
Yeah, so 104, we allocated 130 beds initially for COVID-19. We have breached that mark. Lumakpas na kami dyan. At one time, we have 150 patients. So we're now averaging about 135 to 140. So far, okay pa naman po. We're happy that we are able to send siguro mga half of the patients who go through PGH na papauwi po namin.
Wow.
Doc, nakita ko nga, I saw some pictures of parang people were posting, ang tawag niyo raw internally doon sa COVID unit niyo doon is COVID-2 doon sa PGH. I'm curious. I'm just curious. Can we take PGH as indicator or barometer of the entire public health system of the Philippines right now? When you say na kompletong-kompleto kami, hindi kami nagkukulang sa resources, the manpower is there, morale seems to be higher. Can we take that as indicator? Can we take you as proxy for the entire public health sector?
I think I cannot say that for the entire nation because we were blessed dahil we prepared and then nakakuha rin kami ng ayuda sa DOH. I guess it helped when we said, okay, we're willing to do that. And then there were a lot of people, a lot of organizations which helped PGH. And then yung aming PPE, I guess it's an outlier to say that the hospital has enough PPEs for about 1 to 2 more months. Hindi mo naririnig yan. You know, minsan naawa kami dun sa mga ibang hospital. And so sometimes we tell some of our donors to actually transfer their donations to some of the other smaller hospitals. Or sometimes we ourselves, we actually assist some of the smaller hospitals kasi talaga namang hindi pwedeng naka-isolate in PGH. So there are smaller hospitals around us and we try to coordinate with them at nagtutulungan kami.
Do you follow the same system as the rest of the other hospitals?
Yes and no kasi yes because there is the directive from DOH. Siyempre, sinusundan namin yung mga guidelines ng DOH. On the other hand, we are a different hospital. We are a university hospital. We are from the University of the Philippines system. So we're not really officially a DOH hospital. So we have some ways that we have done na medyo kakaiba po sa setup ng ibang mga government hospitals.
Like what?
We have a very strong department kasi training hospital to no? So marami kaming mga specialists, for example, na talagang kaya namin i-compartmentalize areas of the hospital. So, kasi meron hindi kagaya minsan na ibang hospital, syempre mas konti doktor nila. Then, because we are a big training hospital, we actually, UP is the University Hospital PGH, pinakamaraming nagte-training. So we have a lot of residents and fellows. So dagdag po yan sa manpower namin.
I see. Pero interns hindi
Ang ginawa po ng aming mga medical interns, although they really want to volunteer and see patients, nilagay po namin sila dun sa aming tinatawag naming Bayanihan Command Center. They run our 24/7 operations para kaming may call center doon. Mga agents sila, tigasagot sila ng mga nag-i-inquire, gusto mag-donate, maraming tanong. So nakakatulong po sila ng malaki sa amin.
Oh, that's good news. Today you had good news also about the plasma therapy, convalescent plasma therapy. Can you tell us about the success rate you've had so far?
Well, convalescent plasma therapy, the way that we're using it now, no, it's a form of compassionate use, compassionate therapy. It is a treatment of last resort right now. Kasi to tell you honestly, there are no clear-cut evidence yet that plasma therapy works in COVID-19. So ngayon, ang ginagawa lang namin parang as a rescue therapy, especially those who are severely and critically ill, we will give plasma from a survivor, from a donor who survived and recovered from COVID-19. That donor's blood has, or the plasma themselves has antibodies. We give those antibodies to someone who's very ill. Okay, so far in PGH we had 6 recipients,
Okay.
and as of now, as of this mga around 6 p.m., I was trying to get an update. 3 out of 6 po ay recovering, stable, but we lost 3 out of the 6 because they're really in bad shape. To begin with, they're very critical.
Okay.
But Doc, kasi ang late, medyo maliit yung sampling ng 6 eh. Would you have other numbers to aggregate into that 6? And just some sort of idea as to ilang percent more or less yung nagre-recover from plasma therapy, not just PGH, if you have numbers.
Yeah, I just listened to the report of St. Luke's. It was featured in another news. They said about 50%, parang 5 out of the 12, they were able to pull out of the ICU. Hindi ko alam kung yung ano pa yung 7, no? Hindi ko alam. Pero at least 5
Parang sa inyo.
successful na. Parang 50% eh.
Out of
Tapos, yun, sa ngayon, ganun. Ngayon, we
Hey,
actually...
Doc, sorry, 5 out of 6, that's not
Yeah, 5
50%.
out of 12 eh.
There, 5 of
5 out of
12.
12.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Tapos
Okay.
sila, 3 of 6.
Tapos meron actually po, meron pa kami parang ganun din. We also donated blood plasma for Senator Alvarez.
Yes.
He was not hospitalized in PGH, but there was a call for a plasma, so we donated plasma for him. Unfortunately, he did not make it. And then we also donated plasma to Asian Hospital. There were 3 patients who received it. So out of those 3 patients, 2 are doing well. I think 1 did not make it.
So what do you think is the unique, sabihin na natin, proposition ng plasma in terms of timing? What makes it work and what makes it not work?
Well, I think we probably should be giving it sooner.
Sooner.
When I say sooner, probably not in a situation wherein the patient is almost about to die. Yung parang, kumbaga, nasa peligro na. Kasi
Kahabulin mo na lang eh.
critical, pag sinabing critical, in shock, naka-intubate na, naka-ventilator, meron ng tinatawag na respiratory failure, overwhelming infection, so you're just trying to salvage, versus giving it a little bit sooner when they are not yet in the ICU, but they have a potential to deteriorate. That's, I think, the good time to give it, so that we will prevent them from deterioration.
So how many days are we talking about when you say sooner?
No, actually,
Third day, fourth day?
Actually, our protocol right now, we count, plasma should be given in our protocol from the onset of symptoms. We count, let's say, the start of the symptoms. It has to be between day 3 to day 21. Yan ang aming, so it cannot be before that, it cannot be after that. But it's not really the timing as to the day, but it's really the condition of the patient. The condition of the patient.
Dr. Del Rosario, you've lost patients, but you've also lost personnel, no? You've lost 2 doctors, you've lost your head nurse. At saka I remember, nagpupunta ako sa PGH, yung emergency room nyo kahit noon pa. It looks overwhelmed. The patients are spilling out into the curb. Kumusta yung staffing nyo ngayon?
Okay, when we were in staffing po, nung ginawa kami COVID-19 referral center, medyo na-force ang PGH to close some of the services that we provide. So, sinaray OPD, walang mga elective admissions. Definitely, our occupancy dropped to about 40%. And then we dedicated most of our attention to COVID-19. Yung ER po ngayon, konti na lang ang pumupunta. Hindi ka maniniwalang ER ng PGH yung
Oh,
pupunta.
wow.
Dahil wala pong mga pasyente pumupunta ngayon sa ospital, natatakot po sila.
Siyempre.
Yeah.
Siyempre.
Mm.
Yeah.
Natatakot po sila.
Yeah.
Tsaka
Natatakot po
nabawasan
sila.
yung saksakan ngayon paggabi, nabawasan eh.
But would you
So
say
you're less busy. So you're less busy.
Correct. So we're less busy, less patient. So we have, that's why we have turned our attention to the COVID-19 referral center. What we have done just to preserve the energy of our workforce, because this is going to be a long-term deal. This is not like 1 or 2 months tapos na. What we have done is we have this 1 week on, 2 weeks off sa aming mga
And duty.
sa aming platoon. Oo. So 1 week tuloy.
Doc? Anong oras? Anong oras ang duty nila?
8-hour shifts po yan. Depende kung saan ka matapat. Oo, every 8 hours. So, 7 araw na tige 8-hour shift. Pagkatapos nun, pahinga ka ng 2 linggo para ka nag-quarantine for 2
Yes.
weeks. And then, balik ka na naman. So, it's a way for us to not really push our workforce, and then may time sila para makapag-observe sa, kasi na-expose sila sa COVID-19. So, we want to make sure they are healthy.
Doc, you said you kanina we talked about resources, no? And comparing it early on and where you are now, definitely resource-wise, you're in a much better position now. But in terms of the treatments and what you're having to do with patients today versus 4 weeks ago, is there any difference in the characteristic or the or what you're having to deal with right now? On the level of the patients?
Okay, for the patients, we mostly deal with the urban poor. Okay, PGH caters to the indigent. We were expecting that there will be a deluge of patients like coming from the slums, coming from congested or very, are the areas that transmission probably will be very high.
Yes.
We allocated almost about 90 beds for our charity ward. But surprisingly, we're about 90% full dun sa charity ward. We are getting more, we're almost getting equally mga private patients who were turned down by private hospitals, which were hit early and they could not admit anymore, napupunta po sa pay ward ng PGH, no? So which makes you think, ano ba to? Hindi lang ba natin nahuhuli yung mga COVID-19 sa ating mga kapatid na nandyan na sa mga sulok-sulok ng Maynila, or talagang matibay ang resistensya nila at parang hindi nila iniinda yung sakit?
What does your instinct tell you? What does, not just instinct, but what your knowledge and your experience, how would you answer your own question?
I would think they're mostly asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic. What we have done is we have partnered with the Manila government, local health, and also have made connections with the quarantine centers that were built around PGH, yung PICC, World Trade Center, Rizal, and then we work with the Vice Mayor Lacuna. They put up a Delpan quarantine center wherein they are holding PUIs. So marami silang mga mild, asymptomatic, mild, ganyan. Kaya minsan hindi na po kailangan ilagay sa ospital, dun muna sa quarantine center.
But Doc, if you're indicating that you have that we may have a lot of poor people who have the virus, are asymptomatic, and they may be spreading it around because of the circumstances in which they live.
That's right. That's why we believe that we need to be more aggressive in trying to get these people into quarantine centers, not necessarily admit them to the hospital, but try to go to the grassroots, go to the communities, try to get them tested, and if they are positive, then keep them in a quarantine center. That is the key. Actually, the Chinese, the experts who went to PGH were telling us that was the 4 secrets that they have: early detection, so early testing, and then early contact tracing. They have to search, and then you quarantine them early, and then you treat them early. They do not allow people to be loitering around trying to spread the disease. So that's the key.
Well, ngayon magma-mass testing na nga. Do you expect the numbers to rise?
think we will see more COVID-19. Not necessarily the bad ones. We'll see, kasi minsan ang na-highlight syempre yung mga na-hospital
Symptomatic.
na patay, di ba? Mga
Yeah.
prominent, mga celebrities or mga doktor.
Ah, yes.
But 80% actually do recover from COVID-19.
Okay.
But the problem is the 20% which will be hit hard and they get hospitalized, about 3 to 5% will die. That 20% is a big number for our healthcare system to absorb.
Yes.
So talagang ang mas importante, iwasan mong kumalat yung sakit.
Yeah. Tapos, Doc, we're moving into dengue and sabihin na natin, pag nagbagyo, no?
Yes.
Ayan na naman yung mga sakit na mga gastrointestinal. Ang dami niyan, di ba? So, are you prepared for that pagka dumagsa?
Kinakabahan nga kami. Ang pinagdadasal namin, sana matapos na to bago magtag-ulan. At dahil alam mo naman, pag tag-ulan, lalo ng halo-halo ang sakit. Kasi sa ngayon, medyo clear-cut. Pag may ubos sipon, sige, COVID-19, malamang yan. Pero God knows, kapag pangit na yung at umuulan na, siksikan ng tao, nandyan na yung leptospirosis, dengue, kung ano-anong pneumonia, mga flu, kaya nakakatakot po yung ganun sitwasyon. So sana nga medyo madelay yung ulan, kaya lang kailangan din natin ng tubig, pero wag munang masyadong maulan dahil problema po yan.
Okay. Dr. Jonas Del Rosario, spokesperson of the Philippine General Hospital. Marami pong salamat for joining the Chiefs, and we hope we'll talk to you again in better times. Now, don't go away. The Chiefs will be right back with another doctor.
Ingat po.
Dr. Lim? Dr. Lim, testing.
Yes.
Testing ulit tayo. Can you hear all of us? See all of us?
Hi, Doc.
Hi again.
Yeah.
Hi, oo nga eh. We missed you last night.
Pasensya na.
Sorry.
Medyo madilim kayo, Doc. Medyo madilim yung mukha nyo.
Baka you should be under some light.
Oo.
Yeah.
Yun.
That's good. That's good.
Kitang-kita na kayo. You can see all of us. Saka medyo, medyo iganon nyo
Yes,
ng konti
yes.
yung
Ibabaho ng konti yung angulo ng
computer.
camera. If you're using a laptop po, yan, i-tilt it down.
Konti pa. Konti pa kasi nakatingala yung kuha nyo. Ayan, yan. Okay. Good. Yun.
Ako na rin.
Hirap.
Okay. Ayun.
Ma'am, tumaas po ulit.
Sorry ko lang. Malik mo.
Ma'am,
Tumaas po ulit.
lalo.
Okay na.
Oh, ayan.
Ayan.
Payuko ng konti.
Ayun tuloy, wala na si ma'am sa gitna.
Ayos na kanina eh.
Alam mo, nakakatawa. Yung computer ko, inuurong ko kasi parang gusto ko siya gamaya.
Pababa ng konti. Pababa ng konti yung itulak nyo sa ilalim yung computer. Ayan.
Or tilt down.
Ayos na.
Pwede na yan, baka mamala pa.
iPad.
Ayun.
Iyuyuko nyo ng konti.
Wag na po, baka wala sa gitna.
Tama na.
Nakasandal kasi yung nun yung patungan nun eh. Welcome back to this special edition of the Chiefs here on One News. We just talked with the spokesperson of the PGH, and now we have another doctor with us, Dr. Teresa Mondita Lim, and she will be talking about another aspect of this pandemic. No, Dr. Lim, welcome to the Chiefs. Good evening, Dr. Lim. We have with us Robbie Alampay of One News, Lucy Cruz of TV5, and Ed Lingao of TV5.
Good evening po.
Good
And
evening.
Good evening po.
Yes, Dr. Lim, we had Earth Day yesterday, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and
Yes.
and people are linking this pandemic with the impact of climate change and the decline of biodiversity. Maybe you can tell us more about it. You're working with the ASEAN Biodiversity Center.
Yes, actually, there's already um, the linkage. We are already feeling the impacts of the decline in biodiversity and also climate change. When we talk about biodiversity, it's ecosystem. We talk about ecosystems, species, and genetic diversity. And yung when we talk about the decline in biodiversity or the ecosystems, if they are degraded, it is now resulting to emerging diseases. So pag sinabing emerging diseases, pandemics, this infection what that we are experiencing now is part of it. And why? Because there's more exposure now to the wilderness areas, between people and wilderness areas, between people and wildlife. So yeah, so that's
Before this,
now.
doctor, before this biodiversity, you're the executive director of the center. Before this pandemic struck, did you have any studies regarding the emergence of infectious diseases related to wildlife trafficking, for example? Kasi sabi nila galing daw to sa bat. Eh baka daw tumalon through pangolins and then to humans. Yung SARS
Bat.
nanggaling din sa bat. Did you have previous studies on this, yung center ninyo?
Yeah, actually, before I was in the center, I was also with the Biodiversity Management Bureau, or the Protected Areas and Wildlife Bureau of the DNR. And in my previous position, we were already able to encounter the Ebola reston strain here in the Philippines.
From monkeys?
The Ebola, yes, sa monkeys. So we had a strain of Ebola that was existing here in the Philippines.
Opo.
And yeah, and there was at the time, there was evidence that that strain jumped to
Humans.
Yeah, because the keepers was able to contract that disease. Fortunately, the strain that we have is not as fatal as the ones that are found in
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Also, we had an experience on avian influenza. So avian influenza, also
Birds naman.
Yes, domestic animals yon. But we found that there are similar strains that are found in wild birds. But the strains that are found in wild birds do not jump immediately to humans. It
Yes.
has to go through, it goes through the poultry, diba? It was from the poultry industry and then to humans.
Yeah,
So-
Dr. Lim, alam niyo, si Dr. Lim, nakausap ko last week for our podcast. And she had a very interesting point about, and Doctor, I wanted to bring it up, that you were saying na actually itong mga diseases na tumatalon, as it were, from animals to humans, you call it zoonotic diseases, no? Through the
That's right,
process of
that's right.
zoonosis. You were telling me that actually, we talk about all of these exotic and extreme diseases, but you were saying, in reality, throughout history, marami na tayong episodes sa history na talagang it's practically part of human history, these zoonotic diseases. Could you take us and remind the public of some of the diseases that they now take for granted na actually zoonotic din ang origins?
The flu, yung Spanish flu.
Yes.
It was reportedly, it could have been from birds.
birds also.
Rabies, actually, rabies
of course.
came from, if you get bitten by the dog, then you get it. But it's not only in dogs, it was also found in bats. So from bats, it went to the dog, and yung dog, since it's a domestic animal, that's where we can mostly get in contact with.
The bubonic plague.
Problem now. Yes, the bubonic plague came from
The rats.
rats, but when it but it could have been from anywhere. No, they evolve. Itong COVID-19, the one that was found in bats is like 90% similar to the one that we see in humans, the one that we have now. But the study in bats, it doesn't jump from the bat immediately to humans.
Dumaan
Because
sa
the one
panghuling.
that can be found, reportedly, that's where it came from. So dadaan siya because there's usually a parang what they call a mixing vessel where it usually is found in just one species in the wild, and then it gets in contact into another animal.
Tapos nag-mutate.
That's nag-mutate or nag-evolve siya, nagkakaroon ng yan. And they get those characteristics, different characteristics that now parang once they adopt it, it becomes so infectious that it can now jump to humans.
Yeah.
But Doc,
Doc,
what is it about what
Those
is it
are some
with
of
bats that they become such a common denominator for many of these infections?
They're very resistant actually to a lot of the viruses. They have a lot in the if you swab their buccal cavity, they have it. So it's actually some of these viruses or diseases are also means to control certain populations in the natural world. So at certain points, pag if they increase in population,
imbalance, no?
Yes. So the diseases have also a way of controlling the populations in the wild for as long as you leave them there. If you don't interfere.
Yeah.
But yun na nga, I mean, this past few years, this past few decades, there has been a lot of interferences. If you collect wild animals, if you poach them, then that's already exposure to wild animals. And
I see.
and then if you deplete certain populations, you lose a lot of the predators, so nagka-create ng imbalance. Certain prey will now increase, and then that will cause transmission among the species and create new types of viruses that now becomes infectious to humans.
I see. Doc, yung Australia has suggested, no, I think in fact they're pushing for the abolition of all wet wild animal markets. Do you think that's gonna help?
Yes, I think for now we need to give the earth a rest. In planning for future pandemics and for in managing this pandemic, I think we should start considering a respite in consumption of wild species until we are able to understand completely the role of wildlife in starting in creating in human health.
Yes.
That's why we have One Health. It's not just the reason that this disease, for example, has caught our attention because it's spreading in humans. It's already affecting us.
Yes.
But if we consider One Health, we should have started studying it when we observed it in wild animals. Usually, the natural host will not succumb to it.
Yes.
But once it mutates, then you start seeing it in other species as well.
Pero kunyari, mga Pilipino, are we naturally or culturally exposed to, halimbawa, bats? We don't really eat bats that much, do we? Or, alam ko, aso, madalas natin kainin, no? Sabi ko, culturally. Pero mga paniki, parang wala ako masyadong...
Very awareness na kumakain ng giant bats dito.
Yeah.
Meron.
Actually,
pero hindi kasi widespread as in like China, no?
Oo. Lasang chicken daw, sabi ko, so why don't we just eat chicken, ano? Ano
Avian yung
Yeah,
avian.
true, true.
Ano pwede mga initiative doon, Doc? Any initiatives that we can do to minimize wildlife trading? Kasi isa tayo sa pinakamalaking pinanggagalingan ng wildlife trafficking, not just pangolins. Kung ano-ano, yung mga turtles natin, endangered na. Mga seahorses. Pati yung mga endangered species natin, tinatraffic. Pati yung mga birds natin. Isa tayo sa pinakamalaking
Yes.
pinanggagalingan ng exotic birds. What are the initiatives that we can do?
Pero kinakain ba yung mga yon? Kinakain ba yung mga yun?
Binibenta for medicine, for
Yeah.
pet, gano'n.
Oo.
Ano
So,
ba
ito
mga
kasi ito kinakain mo eh. Yeah.
anong mga
Oh,
initiatives
yeah, pero-
that people can participate in?
Yeah. And actually, we already have the Wildlife Act. Dito sa Philippines,
Yes,
we have
yes.
the Wildlife Act.
Bawal
So,
yun, yeah.
there are penalties.
Regulated.
Yeah, there are, yes, it's regulated. Banning, of course, is a different story. You know, there
Yeah.
are species that are, if it's critically endangered, then it's banned. But
Yeah.
if it's, you know, it's
Anong
it's a
kulang?
level of
Anong
lesser
kulang sa
conservation
enforcement?
status.
Anong kulang sa
Ah.
enforcement? Kasi pati yung gecko, ini-smuggle.
Yes,
Kasi
yeah, that's
aphrodisiac
right.
daw.
Yeah,
Nauubusan tayo ng gecko, imagine.
Yes, and actually yung si Dr. Angel Alcala, former secretary of the department, he already had a study nung nag-increase yung demand for gecko and tumaas ang collection ng gecko, tumaas din ng ang dengue. Kasi nagkaroon din ng increase ng
Syempre.
dengue cases.
Kasi
Yeah,
because they
kinakain ng-
feed on mosquitoes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think
yung
that-
appreciation.
But
Yeah, that's
Doc, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's not just about necessarily consuming. It's not just about trade. It's also about habitat, the habitat of humans and habitat
Yes.
of wildlife, humans in particular, encroaching into wildlife habitats, hindi ba? So it's not necessarily just consuming this directly, but us developing artificially more and more contact points with wildlife.
Yes, that's right. Deforestation, actually, and encroachment. The demand for residential
Farmland,
areas,
yeah.
farmlands, increasing residential areas or development areas. That already provides that opportunity for more contact with wild animals. So it's not just the market, it's not just the trade, but we're already encroaching into what used to be wildlife habitats, and the decreasing habitat areas also the wildlife now looks for other areas to stay in. So they start roosting in your house, ganon, because the roosting tree where they used to be has been cut down. So, and then sometimes they roost near piggery or poultry areas. So yung droppings nila are also means of transmitting diseases.
I see.
Yes, and the incident on avian influenza before, maraming the poultry and the duck farms, they're very close to watering areas of wild birds. So that already provides that opportunity for exposure. So
Are you
it has to be ecosystem and species level.
Yeah. Doc, are you seeing any good coming out of this pandemic? Environmentally, that is.
Well, yes, we've heard a lot of reports, and even on Facebook, you see a lot of posts where the air
Has
been cleared,
cleared,
so you
yes.
see a view of so that's one, and then of course there's more caution from humans in consuming wild animals at this point in time. We want this to be sustained even after, because we also want this
I think that's the
pandemic to be
challenge.
over.
I think that's the challenge. Moving forward, how do you make sure that environmentally people will become more aware, more caring for the environment?
Yes.
How does that happen? I mean, what can you do now to make sure that moving forward in the post-pandemic world, what good environmental good can actually be instituted?
Well, I think we at this time we already need to instill that thinking to the public, to decision makers. It's, you know, it can't just be left to the conservationists or the environmentalists. We're now working on mainstreaming biodiversity into development planning, for example. So biodiversity cannot be left to the environment advocates or to the Ministry of Environment or Department of Environment. I think everyone needs to now be more conscious that their activities will have an impact on the environment, on wildlife. For example, even in agriculture, you know, as I mentioned, some of the areas where we are setting up our piggeries are actually wilderness areas or very near the forest. Maybe we should start thinking of setting aside certain portions. We now have protected areas in the Philippines, in the
Yeah,
ASEAN heritage parks. And if we keep these remaining habitats intact, this will be the haven for the wild animals to keep them.
Yeah, speaking of which, Doc, we've been talking about a land use act for years, for decades. I mean, are your points about biodiversity even factored into that right now? Because yeah, parang we talk about the land use act and we're talking about agriculture, industry, residential, commercial, and so on. And now we have this. You would think that you know, the environmental impact in terms of unleashing diseases or the implications of biodiversity for human habitat would also be factored in.
Yes, yes. We expect that it would be consciously, purposefully integrated into the land use bill. And I think this is the opportune time to be able to emphasize that to everyone, because we don't want anything similar to happen in the future. We need to be able to identify which areas should be habitat areas. Even in the city, you can do that. Singapore has effectively set aside green areas, and this is where the wildlife congregate, and you know it avoids closer contact with human beings, and that's exactly why we need to set aside. They have they have a wetland where the you know, wild birds are confined, and this is also something that we should think about when we set up or when we adopt our land use bill, to set aside these green areas or habitat areas for wildlife to thrive, and then you know, avoid closer interaction with human beings.
Ako, curious
But
lang
Doc, have
ako.
you been
Go ahead, Ed.
have you been consulted by the congressmen who have been proposing the land use bills?
When I was with the DNR in 2018, we were still involved in the. I personally was involved in the preparation of the bill, but there were several versions at that time. So, yeah. So
Yeah.
we hope that, but we are working with all ASEAN member states, and of course, since we're based here in the Philippines, we're very much willing to provide the technical assistance if it will be requested, so that eventually this bill would be passed, and to take into consideration the biodiversity and natural ecosystems.
So how did you celebrate Earth Day yesterday?
I had an online meeting with my my colleagues in the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity. We have been preparing for a big biodiversity conference, which was supposed to have been in March in Malaysia, but since everything has been postponed, so we're discussing some catch-up plans, so that some of our activities, especially on biodiversity and health,
Hi,
We have
Doctora, speaking of the biodiversity, the ASEAN Biodiversity Center, how is the Philippines doing? I mean, in terms of the indicators of the health of the Philippine environment relative to our neighbors, at the very least, kamusta po ba tayo in terms of our forest cover, in terms of our biodiversity, in terms of any important indicators that you care to discuss?
well, as a region, it's not a very good picture at this point in time. In under the ASEAN Biodiversity Outlook, the entire region, they say by 2021 we could lose around 40% of our biodiversity. For the Philippines, we are still a mega biodiverse country along with Indonesia and Malaysia. So we have high biodiversity on a per unit area basis compared to the other countries in the ASEAN. But then we are also losing a lot of our species. We had, when I was still with the DNR, we already had around 30% of our endemic species classified as threatened.
Oh.
Last year, there was another issue once. The list of threatened species has increased to more than 50%.
Oh, wow.
So it's not,
Yeah.
yeah. So we are still a hotspot as a biodiversity hotspot as a country, and that is something that we need to really be more conscious of. We need to really study, assess what's causing the decline. Of course, offhand we know, wildlife trade. We're also we are a seller, transit point, and a
Yes.
buyer of
One of the biggest.
wildlife. Yeah, so we need to be more conscious of our consumption or our interaction with wildlife. Because even if you don't eat, just by slaughtering, you're already in contact with
Doctor.
wild animals.
Doctor, do we have enough people to enforce? Because you talked about we have laws already against wildlife trafficking. Do we have enough personnel to enforce them? I mean, meron ba nagbabantay nun?
Yeah.
Or by way of reforms, anong pwedeng gawin? Would you like to see more volunteers watching and helping enforce wildlife trafficking laws?
Um, w- on watching, the, we, we are now taking advantage of social media. So there's a lot of reporting from the citizen reporting that we get from Facebook and other social media platforms. But of course, this has to be validated. But in the end, we need professionals to enforce. I think that's already a direction that the DNR is taking by proposing an enforcement bureau under the department. But in the past, we also engaged the police and the military and other enforcement agencies to help us do the enforcement. So we need everybody to be engaged. We're in ASEAN, we're now looking at apps and other tools to be able to do real-time reporting to help the the rangers in ASEAN heritage parks to be able to report in real time what is going on in the parks. If they're poaching, then we are able to immediately it could reach the authorities so that this could be addressed as soon as possible. And then, of course, monitoring of meat markets
Okay.
is also important.
Dr. Lim, what can an ordinary Filipino do in terms of helping to preserve biodiversity?
The things that, of course, the most obvious one is to stop patronizing, stop buying wildlife if you do not know the source. So
Okay.
that's the most obvious one.
And
But
by
for
wildlife,
others,
you mean what?
wildlife, wild pigs,
Meron mga ganon?
rats.
Oh.
Wild
Yeah,
boar.
Oo naman, baboy na mo.
Baboy
No,
daw.
I mean, by
Yeah,
patronizing, pinapatay nila, kinakain.
Oh, yeah.
Pero yung pets, halimbawa, so many
Even
people are
pets.
buying, yes. So,
Yeah,
buying
even pets,
wildlife.
like birds. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, avian influenza.
Yeah.
It can come from wild birds.
So, dapat
what
isang
we-
tabi na yung hobby na yun. Ganon.
Well,
Ang daming magagalit.
if you are not,
Ano yung sa, yung deer?
yeah,
Wild yun,
Yeah.
wild deer.
Kuya Kim magagalit.
Sabi na nga eh.
Ano yung wild
Hinihintay ko na lang sabihin.
Friend ko naman yan eh. Yung magagalit yan.
yung mga local government units?
Nang walang permit.
Doctor, yung local government, can they do more to enforce wildlife laws?
Yes,
Yung
of
local
course,
government
yeah,
unit.
they're always the first line of defense. In the same manner that they are now helping the national government with controlling or enforcing the quarantine laws at the moment. It's the same thing with wildlife laws. The current wildlife law provides for enforcement agencies to be engaged, for these local wildlife enforcement officers to be designated, so that and then they are trained. So kasi when you want to be effective in prosecution, you should be able to handle the evidence well also.
Nako,
So,
yeah.
dapat yung handling, ganyan.
Yes.
Hindi rin, hindi rin, if there are diseases that are being carried by wild animals, they should be able to know how to handle it properly and to also protect themselves when they confiscate or when they seize the wild animals that are being sold illegally.
Well, okay. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Doktora Mundita Lim. At sa uulitin po, maraming salamat. Good evening.
Maraming salamat po, Doc.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
In the meantime,
Thank you.
please don't go away. For the rest of you, we'll be back.
Kayal pa ba?
Last gap na, no?
Yes, last gap.
Si Lucy was looking for good news from COVID-19 eh. Alam niyo yung yesterday, yung oil futures,
Oh yeah, bumagsak yung presyo.
bagsak to negative 36 per
Correct.
barrel.
Negative. So, ibig sabihin nun, they're literally trying to give it away? I mean,
Kasi
is
they're
that what it means?
spending for they're spending for
For
storage.
storage. Oh, for storage. Kaya nga.
And
But what
yeah,
does it
because
mean? When it's
oversupply, there's
negative,
nobody
What are you
traveling
using?
with ang lakas ng consumption ng langis ng eroplano. Nobody's flying around, there are no boats leaving, no cars going around. So
Yeah.
now they have all the oil that they have to pay for storage eh.
Yeah.
Oo.
Mas mahal pa alcohol ngayon kaysa sa gas.
Mas mahal pa ang tubig. Ano? Tubig na raw, mas mahal eh. Ay, nako. Ang problema, mura nga ang gas. Wala naman perang pambili ng gas.
Hindi ka naman makatravel.
Mm.
Hello po, Miss Christine.
Miss Christine.
Hi, Miss
Yes,
Christine.
Hello
po.
Ayan, gitna na.
Good evening po.
Good evening. Can you hear
Good evening po.
us?
Ay, may delay.
Hear us? Oo, delay.
May delay. Oops.
Delay yung
Yun.
video.
Medyo choppy lang po. Oo nga po eh. Can you
Testing.
bring yung phone, Dad? Dalila po.
Alam mo ka ko rito.
Oy, wag ka muna humawa sa dengue.
Oo nga eh. Ay, gabi na wala ng dengue. Africa,
Ang signal.
meron pero delayed. May signal pero delayed.
Yeah, parang
Delayed.
Oh, well.
Nakita naman natin kailan delayed. May lamok na yun. Yung isang lamok lang yan eh. Nilalamok ako. Ano mo, kumakita mo.
nakakatawa ka. Ami, nakakatawa ka, nagpapatay ka na lang.
Hello po, banter po muna tayo. Bumabagsak po yung connection.
Okay. O, sige, Ed, sabihin mo yung gas. Para good news naman. Sobrang dami ng bad news, no?
Oh, nakaka 5-minute challenge natin sa EDSA, ano na.
Ha?
Tapos binanggit ni Doc yung yung Ebola reston from the Philippines yung Ebola Zaire, the deadlier strain, appears to have mutated from bats din bats to monkeys and then to humans because of
Yung sa
human
Africa,
encroachment dun sa Congo.
yung sa Africa.
Okay.
Congo ba yun? Hello? Ay, nawala ako. Ako ang nawala. Okay, let's hear some good news while we're waiting for our next guest. Si Ed, merong good news for us in regard to the gas
You make it
prices.
sound like people. If I say this, people might say it's fake news if the gas prices do not fall as much as they think. Well, anyway, yesterday kasi bumagsak yung oil futures at least dun sa West Texas contracts for May, bumagsak to negative 36 per barrel.
So,
Eh, di ba, there was even a time na sa 70, 80 per barrel, dollars per barrel yan eh.
Yeah.
So yesterday, ang contract for May at for West Texas was at negative 36 per barrel, dollars per barrel. Sa
Yeah.
Asia, it was playing around $1 per barrel
Yeah.
of oil. Of oil.
Historical.
Wow.
On the face of it, yes, di ba? It looks like, it sounds like good news. Pwedeng mangarap yung mga tao na, uy, mura ang gasolina and so on. But yung underlying story there is really, really very concerning because it basically means nothing is moving in the world economy. For example, pwede ka nga magpapultang. Nagpapultang ako nung isang araw. Wala man ako pupuntahan.
Wala ka
Saka
naman timing.
isa pang real bad impact, no? Karamihan dyan, oil-producing countries of Middle East, we have millions of workers there. At ang unang-unang lay off dyan, kapag ganyan bumabagsak yung ekonomiya nila, are the migrant workers. Mag-uuwi na yan dito sa atin, wala silang mapupuntahan. Dati naglilipat-lipat lang sila ng iba-ibang bansa eh. Ngayon, saan sila pupunta? They are all going to come home here na naghihirap din tayo ngayon. Mahirap din ang trabaho. Yun ang problema ngayon.
Yeah, the last time they had a glut they had depressed prices in the Middle East, ang daming na layoff Filipino.
Kaya nga, exactly. Kaya saan yung gagawin? Magre-reskill ba tayo or whatever? We have to produce new livelihoods for everybody.
So hindi pala good news yan.
Not necessarily. No, pero specifically itong depression ng oil futures has to do with because nobody's traveling. No planes are flying, at least not much, and planes are huge guzzlers of gasoline, aviation fuel at least. You don't have travel as much as before in terms of vehicles and cars and land transportation. Boats are not leaving not as much as before then. So you have oil producers with so much oil that they have to pay for storage.
Yes.
Kaya bagsakan tuloy yung presyo nila ngayon.
Right.
Now, will it mean that kasi it might be oversimplifying for some people to think na kung negative yung price ng barrel ng oil dun sa futures, ibig sabihin the gas station will have to pay me when I go to the gas station to fill my tank. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way kasi you have to consider things like transportation ng oil, you have to consider things like taxation, ang laki ng tax natin dito, among other things.
And refining. Kaya ang pagbaba ng presyo natin, pump prices, mga pa 50, 1 peso lang naman. Hindi na ba
Mababa rin, pero hindi tayo, they will not pay us to get their oil.
Yeah, but I think to Ami's point, really, ultimately, ang kalkula ng economic managers natin dyan. It's what will be the fallout to our OFWs in the Middle East market. Usually, pagka may crisis sa isang country, let's say calamity or war, let's say in one particular country in the Middle East, parati ang sinasabi ng okay lang yan because when one door closes, another window opens and totoo rin, parang may revolving door na napapasukan yung mga OFWs natin. But when an entire region is affected by one major sector, in this particular oil, it's going to be a very big headache for Filipinos and the country even after COVID. Because even if mag-clear up na, the economy will not jumpstart back to 100%. It's going to be a very, very slow and very painful process going back on our feet.
That's
That's
true.
the Middle East and North Africa, napakaraming bansa dyan. And affected din yung iba pa nating malalaking market. The UK, napakarami doon na, Spain and Italy, they host some of the biggest populations of OFWs. Anong gagawin nila? Hindi naman basta-basta makaka-recover kagad dyan.
Sa US nga, di ba, si President Donald Trump already issued an executive order banning or prohibiting the issuance of visas for the next 60 days.
Yeah,
So what does that mean for so many, let's just say, Filipinos who are now set on working there? They're now going to be stuck here for the next, 2 to 6 months, no? What are they going to do? And to think that moving into the post-pandemic era, we can see already that unemployment is going to be in levels that we probably have never seen in the last 3 years, no? So, medyo nakakakaba.
Merong isang committee ngayon sa House na nagpo-propose to ramp up spending for build. Para ma-absorb yung additional skilled workers. Kung ma-displace man sila sa Middle East. So baka lobby, expertise mo yan sa economy. Kaya ba yun? Pero kaya for build in the first place.
But I think
Ngayon,
they're also scaling down on the build projects.
For the next beyond the time.
Yeah, well, obviously, build has always been, every time government spends on infrastructure, it's always a pump priming activity, and it's always something that at least kontrolado ng gobyerno, kaya mag-boost doon. But the question is, after that, after we go back online, and we start to obviously build the infrastructure projects can go full blast, and subject to protocols pa rin ng Pangulo. But yung question pa rin is whether or not we will have enough even in that sector to absorb all of these people. Not only that, yung makeup ng ating mga Pilipino sa overseas markets are not necessarily the old OCW sectors that we're thinking of. These are not necessarily construction workers, skilled jobs that are coming home. So it's not as if these are people who are going to enter into that industry quite easily.
Area. Yes.
Diba? Nagbago na yung demographics natin. The majority of our OFWs now are women. It wasn't like in the 1970s and the 1980s when we said OCW. It was almost by definition a construction worker, almost by definition a male. Sometime in the 1990s, nag-switch na yan, and females became the number one sector now in among our OFWs.
What about call centers, Robbie? How will they be affected or impacted post-pandemic?
Well, we want to be optimistic about it. I was reading an article the other day that BPOs might be a winner because remember, prior to COVID and until now, people are looking at BPOs as a sunset industry because of AI, because of technology and so on. But now, people are realizing a lot of things now that they're working from home. And now that people are pushed into e-commerce, people are pushed into their digital strategies, they're also realizing that the technology is not necessarily there. More importantly, they're also realizing na, mahalaga pa rin pala ang mga tao. So I was reading an article, this is not my personal insight, but I was reading an article recently that was saying BPOs might have extended its life and might have raised its value over the course of this crisis.
Well, speaking of construction, no, I think yan ang isang sector na pinag-aaralan na to ease the quarantine rules at the end of the month, no?
Yeah.
Napapayagan ng certain projects, including
Right.
some projects in build. Basta, ito kung paano enforce yung social distancing. But at
Right.
least, yun, medyo, just to restart the economy. Saka itinutulak din na ng mga contractors, yung construction association.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have noticed that may construction na ngayon sa EDSA. They've resumed construction and I think reblocking of portions of EDSA.
Yeah, may nakita na
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a good
But
time.
it's the best time.
actually
It's the best
do it.
time to
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
the roads.
Right.
Oo.
Yeah.
I mean, katulad daw sinasabi ni Secretary Joy Concepcion the other day, their real concern now is really the MSMEs, the small and medium scale enterprises. Ito yung mga, how do we get it back on track? Kasi kung construction, as we said, if it's build, if it's government pump priming the economy, kayang-kaya, controlled nila yun eh. Diba? But what about those who will be caught in the middle? And the ones who will be caught in the middle is going to be the MSMEs, and they're caught in the middle, but they account for the majority of employment in our country.
Yeah.
Hindi ba ito yung isa sa pinupush daw ni Secretary Pernia before his resignation? Na ituloy daw sana yung construction, at least of public works. Sabi niya, hindi ba members were with him on this, na habang walang tao, sana na ituloy yung ibang big ticket infrastructure projects. Total wala naman daw tao at walang traffic.
Yeah.
Diba? Sayang sana medyo mabawasan ng traffic kung sakaling gradual easing of the quarantine.
Yeah. Well, yan yung mga bagay na inaantay natin sa Pangulo kung matutuloy ang kanyang announcement tonight. The most basic question for everyone again is, are we extending the ECQ? What will it look like if it's extended? How long will it be extended for?
Or you modify.
Everybody's watching out for. What
Mm.
does a modified ECQ look like? That's the question.
Pero
And
parang,
I'm sure the modification will not be in Metro Manila.
parang,
you think?
It'll be the rest of Luzon or
yeah.
portions
Do
of
you
Luzon.
think that Metro Manila will be what? Maintained?
Malamang.
Baka nga mag-stricto ulit eh.
If
I mean,
you see the recommendation of yung UP COVID response team, that the last one that they made, the policy paper they made nung Sunday, and I think that's the one that they gave the president nung Monday. Makikita mo yung black spots dun sa Luzon eh, yung may 90% chance of I forget the word eh, 90% chance na hindi lang transmission eh, yung blowing up into a bigger
outbreak.
outbreak. That includes Metro Manila, that includes
Cebu.
Bulacan,
There's already an outbreak.
Davao, including Davao.
Yeah,
also Davao, and tapos yung mga less than 70%, which to UP would be regions na pwede mo ng pakaulan from quarantine, would be Northern Luzon. Most of the Cordilleras except for Benguet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So may mga ganon.
Kaya tayo epicenter eh. In fact, ang trend dito parang dumadami yung nagto-total lockdown. Di ba? By LGU or by
Kasama na kami noon. Okay.
Well, apparently our guest can't make it anymore.
That's what we, yeah.
Yeah. Yun ang iniiwasan ngayon ng mga tao, mag-total lockdown. Pero parang nagiging trend among the mayors para sumunod yung mga tao. Di ba?
Yeah.
Lalong naghihigpit.
Then,
Saka,
nakakatawa yung mga sanction. Kung ano naiisip ng mga polis na parusa. Di ba meron yung mga nagtotong its na walang baraha. Yung mga ganun. Dalawang oras.
Sino naman nanalo doon, no?
Dalawang oras sila nagtotong its na walang baraha. Tapos meron ng mga parang naka-exercise sa gym for like an hour. But they have to be creative. Otherwise, there's no way you can actually make them toe the line, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we're trying to, you don't want to, on the one hand, scare the people. You also want to manage their expectations. But this is how tricky it is. Who knows? I mean, for the past weeks, everybody was praising Singapore. And they should still be praised for some of this done. But what basically happened? They've just extended their own quarantine all the way to June 1. And this is and it was because of an outbreak in a particular community of migrant workers and so on. Pero makikita lang natin, again, if you look at our neighbors, this is how difficult it is. And now you look at Singapore, you even look at South Korea, all of these countries that we were praising as models, they still should be praised for some of the actions that they've taken. Pero kung titingnan mo sila, pati sila ngayon, parang, oh my God, are we bracing for another wave? And that's why it's such a tricky question, balancing, on the one hand, the public health question, and on the other hand, the social impact that this is now having on people.
Pero bakit
we're really still groping in the dark. When it comes
Bakit
to
ang Germany nag-ease na? Although, at the same time, they're saying na baka daw mag-resurge yung threat. But still, they're businesses. Talaga iniisip nila yung business, yung impact on the economy. Saka tingnan nyo yung mga binuksan nila doon. Yung hairdresser, yung fish.
Ay, kailangan ko na yun. Lumalabas na yung sumpa ako.
At syempre, dahil ng Audi, lugar ng BMW, binuksan yung mga car dealership. So, iniisip nila yung negosyo Diba? Although they are preparing for a resurgence. No? Bakit yung South Korea hindi naman they never had a lockdown. Talagang kailangan natin mag-ramp up ng testing, which we are doing now. So, something positive naman, di ba?
Well, guys, we have a message from the producers. Apparently, si Miss Christine Cherry Bennett cannot make it anymore because her connection really is very bad. So, I guess that's it for today's episode of the Chiefs. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. I'm Edwin Gao of One News.
I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
And I'm Robbie Alampay, and we are One News.